Okie McDokey, the hubby and the baby came in for a second. So, but he did remind me real quick. This is how I live my life. Nothing's in order. That my mom always said. You start telling something and you start here, and by the time you get to the end, I forgot where you started. Anyway, this lights up. So it's cool, right? Very cool, dude. It is. So I forgot about that. My husband showed me. I was like, oh yeah. And I forgot what I was talking about, because that's what happens. So I named her Georgiana, and I had been thinking about it at work, like before she existed. I was like, oh, I was thinking if I ever have a daughter, I might name her like this, and I was gonna name her Donna Georgiana, and my middle name is a G, and then so we'd have the same initials, but she wouldn't have my ugly middle name. I have a constant allergy, so if I don't take allergy pills all the time, there's a constant cough and everything, so sorry. Apologies. So anyway, in the end, it was a whole big thing. Her name was supposed to be, by the time I named her, it was supposed to be Georgiana Rosalie, Roseleigh. And I had been contemplating doing Seymour Stapleton, his last name and mine. But anyway, and so things, and after Evan, our stillbirth son at 27 weeks, I just gave her Stapleton, but I had mentioned it to someone. I was like, yeah, I was thinking about doing Georgiana Rosalie Seymour Stapleton, and they were like, oh, that's too long, and I was like, and I didn't ask anything, because I was, dumb, and I wasn't living in my highest vibration, or whatever, I wasn't fully confident, and so, I never mentioned it to my husband. To be honest, he made enough jokes about not being able to spell Georgiana, and when I named my son William, people were very, oh, he's never gonna be able to write that, like, how old are you? You can write it, you can say it. He's just gonna be smarter than you, obviously. So anyway, so at the baby shower, we ended up doing Georgiana Rose, and I know my sister, she said, it's kind of funny, isn't it? It's confusing. And I was like, huh? And then I was like, oh yeah, the Rose, because my niece has the same last name, and so I was making the welcome sign for her shower, and I put her, Georgiana, and I got to, there was no more room, of course, there was no more room, because I had planned on, I stretched it in my brain to a way that it fit this big, huge banner piece of paper thing, but the Georgiana was, well stretched. And so I contemplated it then. I was like, see, I don't want to do this. I don't want that name. Whatever. So I put Rose on it. I didn't give her full last name, her full middle name. And, went and had her at the hospital. Again, not enough room on the line. Bull malarkey. So again, I looked at it and I was like, forget it. And I just wrote, ever since she's been born. I mean, when she was little, I called her Rosalie all the time. She still knows it. She's learned to write it and spell it. She's 8. Very smart. Especially in terms of writing and spelling and literature and reading. And, so yeah, it should have been Rosalie. We still haven't changed it legally, but she definitely goes by Georgiana Rosalie. Because that's the vibe I was going for. That very, eloquent, royal, I don't even know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean? Like William, Georgiana, but then, Alice, and then Autumn, and so kind of, all of them are very kind of old-fashioned, kind of classic, but whatever. And, people were like, oh, that name Georgiana, it's Italian. It sounds Italian. I promise you, I've Googled it enough times, it's actually not Italian. And I love Italian, and I want to go to Italy. I watched Under the Tuscan Sun, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. But it's not Italian. It actually just, of course, originates from, farmers, a farmer's daughter, I assume, and it was probably Georgiana, which is what my grandpa used to call her, and really, it drives me nuts, or it did. But now I'm like, oh, it's cute, I don't care. I could just call you Anna or Anna. I like calling her Anna. And when she was an infant, my niece called her Anna, which was cute, because it was, right around when Frozen, not when it first started, but it was still huge. That's one that, it's never going to go away, and it's just been up there, I swear, ever since it existed, which is good. I mean, it's, woman power, but, so, that's, her name, but not Penelope. And then nowadays, because I do like the nickname Pen, I like the name Pen because obviously writer and pens. But yeah, look at these cute little stickies. Who's dog? Is that little, is it the, what's her name? She's like the queen or something. I don't know what she is, to be honest. She's related to Simon, isn't she? I don't know, but is that her dog? Look at the, I don't know what, Whistle, oh, Whistle down. I always thought it was funny because when people rumor, when people talk, when people gossip, etc., you know, that's what you're doing. It's going down, you know, like that game of telephone. It's going, a lot of kids today don't know what that is, but it's a game of telephone. You say, the first person says something to someone else, and then that person tells the next person, and that person tells the person, and by the time it gets back to the original sayer, it's not usually what it was, even remotely, because people insert their own assumptions and thoughts and feelings into things. Yeah. Now this one, look, I wasn't kidding. I wasn't wrong. This is super cute and good. Look, when you pop it open, there's all that space. But this one, oh, look, it just came out a lot farther. I spun this so many times. I promise you I spun it, and I was like, it was like right here, and it wouldn't come out any farther. Still though. Okay. Now, I feel better about it now, just because it came out farther, but I still can't really, I can't write with that all the time. That's just not, it's like, you know, when you wear a pair of shoes because they're comfortable, you have to wear a certain kind. I have a heel spur. I'm expected to wear a certain kind of shoe and usually a certain insole. I gotta fix my shirt all the time. And that's kind of how this is. When I write, you know how much effort it takes to press down or to like repeat? And I did do that. I don't know if you saw it. You don't really need to. I don't know what I wrote. It was really stupid. Yeah. You can see where I'm like going over it to try to darken it, to try to be able to see it, especially on top of the watermark. I used to work at the school, at my school in high school. We had a typing class 2 years in a row, and I know, I'm such a pro, right? I really do type fast, though. But we did this kind of stuff. Nowadays, they call everything watermarks, but I feel like it could have been lighter. Not that they thought that it would look good, but for the sake of writing on it, and with the type of pen they gave you, they should have just made it lighter. Less noticeable. Honestly, I don't even know if I would have put that castle thing right in the middle of the page, but I love it, and it's adorable, and it's the best. I'm not saying, like, you did it wrong, and I could have done better. I'm just saying, like, looking at it, thinking about writing on it, I don't do that. Dearest gentle Rita. Ooh, I mean, these are just plain pages so that you can write. These are plain pages so you can write. Sorry, I'm like being really quiet. Personally, I know that can be annoying because you can't hear, and when you can only get your volume so high, that's it. And it's not like I have a microphone or anything. It's just my phone. I'm not up there yet, but I do have my laptop over here. I need to play around on it, figure out how YouTube Studios works and all of the things. But right now, anyway, I wanted to just hop on and like just say stuff, maybe do a little check these out kind of review thing. And it's not even really a review, so whatever, but yeah, I just wanted to hop on and say hi. I guess. These are cute though. We used to make stuff like this and notepads. We do the whole 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 11 sheet and split it into 4, and we'd have 4 notebooks out of usually 100 pages, so you usually got like 400 pages in the end. But yeah. And it's funny though that I ended up talking about notebooks on the first, but I love to write. So the reason it's funny that I decided to talk about notebooks and stuff is that a long time ago, I held on to so much stuff. I held on to everything from the time I was able to probably about 12, from the time I was able to make a conscious decision and think this might mean something to me later on in life. I had so many notebooks. I had 2 folders, but it was just like the top. There was no like folder. It doesn't matter, but they were folders, and they have the 3 little prongs, and then you stick your sheets in it. I had 2 of them full of just songs I had written. Songs and songs and songs. And they weren't all great. They weren't. I was a child. They were very repetitive. Probably, you know, da-da-da-da-da. I finally gave up on those because I was moving a lot when I, after I had my son, William. He's 13 now. And I just got sick of having to move all of this crap. And I'm working my way to minimalism. When we switched rooms, we got the smaller room, but probably really only smaller because of this right here. It goes across. There's the small closet here, and then the other small closet there. And so it's probably only small by that few bit of footage, and just being like a little bit differently shaped than the room we came out of. But I didn't just downsize because we switched rooms. I did it because I'm sick of having crap. Like, when I do laundry for my children, and I've got 4 of them, so when I do laundry and I'm going to try to put it away, and then I get overwhelmed because there's nowhere to put it, because their drawers are full, the laundry room table is full, you have too many clothes. That's all there is to it. And if you've got 3, 6, 7 outfits clean, and you've got dirty laundry, and it wasn't like a special occasion, stuff that you can keep packed away, like separate for just when you know you're gonna need it, you know, funerals and proms or whatever. To me, you got too much. You don't need it. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to do what I do. That is not at all what I am saying. I'm just saying that that's logical, and all this physical stuff is just not necessary. And however, that being said, I have a ton of notebooks. Okay, and I love trees. I've been to the Mead Paper Factory in Waverly, Chillicothe, Ohio, whichever place is where it is. I think it's actually in Waverly. We went there in print shop when I was in 8th grade. That was also the first time I ever went ice skating. I guess this is sort of an introductory video. Yeah, I'm kind of like ADHD, whatever. I'm just like, especially now, just go with the flow. What comes, let it come. Because like I said, I've never been someone who could sit down and plan and brainstorm something. I've always been like, I can't, I don't know where to start. And, you know, and I'm talking like elementary school, 5th grade and below, 5 and below, 5th and below. And I can literally remember, it was probably like 1st or 2nd grade, but I don't even think they really do that then. So it's probably more like 3rd or 4th. But anyway, I can remember us, like, we're supposed to go off in groups and do things. First of all, that was it for me. I just sat there. I didn't do group stuff. Couldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Had no clue how to do it. Figured I was better off alone. And to be honest, usually I was right. Not because I did any good, but I definitely would have only harmed everyone else. But I can remember it'd be like, we're gonna brainstorm, and then I'm like, I can't do that. I can't, because you can't. This sounds. And it's kind of true for life. You can't plan what's going to happen next. You can plan what you want to have happen. It doesn't mean it's going to. Now, as a child, I didn't really realize that, but that's how I felt. It was overwhelming because I felt like I can't say that this is how the story's going to go. I have to start writing, and the story shows up. It comes to me. That's funny. What an epiphany. I bet I was meant to figure that out. Yeah, I'm listening. That's me speaking of like spirit, God, whatever. But no, not these. You know, everyone doesn't believe in that either. And that's fine. It doesn't really matter. We create our own reality. But, yeah, so I was going to come in here and just sit down and write. Just write and see what comes. And like I said, I've been pondering on doing some kind of a video, just something. I watch a lot of videos. I watch a lot of tarot readings. And they're not even tarot. There's no cards in them. These other videos. I don't know what to call them. I'll call them energy videos, you know, where they talk about, this is how this energy feels. You're a collective who do this. I feel like you're the person who does that. And I'm over here trying to figure out how these people do it. Like, how do they know this is, you know what I mean? And because I have been looking into it, I have been trying to study things and I've always said, like, I'm a pattern learner. I'm a hands-on pattern learner. And now I'm starting to notice how I notice patterns and how I notice synchronicities and how, obviously, that's how a lot of us get what are those called? Conspiracy. That's how a lot of us come to conspiracy theories, right? Right. But I'm not focused on any of that. I can't control any of that. I can be aware of it, I can know, and I can have a plan at least for my own action, recovery, reaction, but it's a waste of life. So I saw a video today that I definitely felt like after probably since April or May. I know it was early on, but when I really got consistent was like summer break. So it had to have probably been May. I got where I was watching those videos a lot, and I was just trying to self-improve. I was trying to beat all of these things. I was praying constantly, day in and day out. I mean, bawling, but just praying for peace, praying for love. Like, I don't want anything else. And I know it sounds bad, and I've made posts on my Facebook about it. I've made posts and videos about other things. At all costs, whatever it took, remove the roadblocks. You know, if I lose my home, if I lose my kids, I was like, I need peace. This life's not cutting it anymore. And it's not about money. It's not about the economic whatever level. It's not about a socio. Is that what it is? Social economic. It's not about anything like that. It was literally about day to day. It's pure chaos from one. And oh, you have kids. It's always no. It's not. That's not how life works. There are normal people. There are normal people who don't live like this. There is a movie. What the heck is that? That is so funny. 28 days. It's not the exact same statement, but it means the same thing. Sandra Bullock, and I don't know the guys in it. There's men in it. And she goes to rehab or whatever, and she, you know, like all of us, she's like a drunk. She like drinks a lot. She keeps getting back with her same dude over and over, and they keep doing the same crap. And so anyway, she ends up wrecking her sister's wedding day. And anyway, it comes down to it where she ends up telling the guy just that. She's like, no, this isn't normal, Jasper. There are people who live normal lives and don't do this crap all the time, every day, whether it's drinking, partying, wrecking a limo into someone's house, wrecking your sister's wedding. She's like, no, that's normal. And that's when I live life and I get to see other people, and not that everyone is themselves all the time. Probably different video, different thing, and that's the ADHD thing with my mom and I. You start in one place and you end up in another, and I don't know how you got where you came from. Whatever. You are allowed to see. You get that opportunity to see how other people function, to see how the world works, and then you get to choose whether you want to see about integrating that into your own life. And obviously, I've seen a whole lot of people who simply communicate. They're not afraid to communicate because someone will not agree or will not like it. They're not wasting time just living in fear and suppressing everything and not dealing with it, and then just adding up a big long list of why this other person is not good for them and da-da-da-da. That's not normal behavior. That's not, you can communicate. And even, like, sometimes, even when I do, it was like I didn't do it correctly. For one, it was like I'm not communicating necessarily to be heard, but maybe to change something and to make a point. And so when it felt like when someone else had what seemed like a contradiction or a retort to what I said, it was like they weren't listening at all. They didn't comprehend what I said at all. And I still feel like that a lot. But I've learned, number one, what the difference is. And number two, that really I don't need them to understand. I don't need them to agree. They don't have to. However, when it comes to relationships, any relationship, relate ion, hip, I don't know. When it comes to relate ion ships, it does take a level of obvious desire to, I don't want to say compromise, because I don't feel like that should be a thing, but it's the idea of melding together and making your own way. That's another movie, see? But yeah. So it's a big thing nowadays. People just don't know how to communicate, and they don't know why they're communicating, and so then that screws up the whole how thing. But yeah, it's funny. I wanted to do like I guess essentially an introductory video like 2+ years after I started trying to or using YouTube as a means of hopefully being heard, but not just being heard, connecting. I've said that since the beginning. I'm not here for whatever. I'm here to connect because, like I said, in my life, I have felt very not connected, not understood, and not connected. And obviously, when you feel not understood, and this is a repeating cycle that you see over and over, this pattern of people who seem very, very adamantly dedicated to not understanding, to not even humoring the idea, the concept, the anything. And when it's the people closest to you who are supposed to know you best and you're supposed to know them best and all of that, it's worse. I feel like, and it's just, we'll leave the other, it's worse. I feel like, because it's one thing to go out into the world and speak to basically a complete stranger or someone who's new in your life and be like, oh, blah, 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 I think this, or I feel this way, or even to just offer a suggestion on a way to handle a situation differently, such as, like I said, maybe just communicate, broskies. How about we just communicate? And they just immediately want to poop all over that, and it feels like it's personal, and it feels like they're just shutting you down, and it feels like you just, oh no, you're absolutely nuts. And the thing is, in the first place, they're being extremely petty and extremely dramatic in the first place. Yeah, it's really, well, it's lonely for one. So, and I think a lot of people who do social media for work or just like this, because they are so lonely, that when we get that chance to connect with people and people say, oh my gosh, I was thinking about this, or I felt this way, or oh, that hits home, like that's our connection right there. It's like, I found my people. Because 36 years, y'all, I'm 36 this last 2024 November, and it's been rare, if ever. It's been rare. And it's almost like sometimes when you think you found somebody who you feel like you connected with, or even your intuition, you're like, it. You're like, dude, you'll say things the same. I know people say that we finish each other's sentences. That's very real. That happens. I've been doing it with my sister, and then when I'm chill and relaxed and we're just being fun and light, my husband and I will say the exact same things. But I always have undermined that. Like I said, I've always kind of undercut it, like, well, da da da, maybe, I never let it be what it is. And speaking of opportunities, that's something I've been thinking about lately and working on. Letting myself feel like I'm connecting, letting myself feel like the bird on the branch. It's okay, and I'm not gonna die when you decide, nah, you're not for me, or you stab me in the back, or you betray me. I'm not gonna die, so I'm gonna give my all to you as a means of saying I am here, even if maybe in your life, no one was. Maybe like me, and I think back and I'm like, I did have a really solid group of people around me, but I never wanted to depend on them. There was this thing that told me, as soon as I do, first of all, the rug's pulled out from under me. And number two, I felt under massive judgment. And at some point in my life, I was most definitely under a lot of 3D plane, petty, human, judgmental judgment. Nothing spiritually, nothing that really matters. But, so I never, I know people are like, oh, you have a husband. I don't have a partner to lean on their shoulder. And I'm not just going to say, oh, I don't either, and downplay it. Okay, you're right. There's a human there. But what you don't know is that I don't do that. I've literally read that I guess it's common for Sagittariuses to go through things alone. Not saying it's all about the astrology, but I will say that's what I do. I thought I was a narcissist, and maybe I am, for a really long time. And I always thought, What if all of this, the little bit of vulnerability that I feel like I'm doing, what if all of that is a form of manipulation? Or what if that is just so that I don't have to be more vulnerable on a bigger scale? Whatever. And it probably couldn't be truer. I mean, obviously. So nowadays, speaking of it, I'm trying to be more vulnerable. And that means being there for people, because I have no problem doing things for people. I do it all the time. I did it all the time. I had to set boundaries hard. And I was a massive people pleaser. Didn't know how to say no. Couldn't say no. I would answer text messages because I felt like I was afraid they would think or know that I was ignoring them if I didn't answer them. And I mean now. Yet I've always been the person who waits days, weeks, months, years to get a message or a call or a text back. That is not an exaggeration. That's just real. So, like I said, now it's like I feel like I'm plenty old enough, and I keep relearning the lesson over and over that it's okay. It's okay if they don't agree, they don't like it, they contradict it, they are kind of confrontational about something. The thing that's helped me get this far, I guess, like just evolving that and learning it, is mindfulness. I've practiced so hard taking deep breaths, because when I don't practice taking deep breaths, especially when I'm in an actual moment and I feel like, oh, this person is not going to like what I say if I say what I think, because for one, it doesn't agree with them. But it's not me challenging them, and it's not me saying, well, you're wrong. It's me saying, how about look at it this way? And it's a suggestion. It's a new perception. It's not a demand. It's not saying you're wrong. No one is wrong, because no one is right, because each journey is for each person on the journey. Period. And I stand by that. I used to be like, oh, I'm doing everything right. Why is so and so getting this? I was very bitter. I was very jealous. I was very angry. I was very hurt. And again, that doesn't help when you've been ostracized by people who don't even know you, but act like they know you and want to go around telling everybody everything about you like they think they know, when they're telling everyone lies and contorting what is said in the first place or what has been done. Or, innocently, because it is best to infer, I won't say assume, infer ignorance. I'm going to say ignorance. Or stupidity. I don't want to say stupidity, but ignorance. Because ignorance can be changed. It is better to assume ignorance than to assume malice or infer. So, yes, I was assuming malice, but I think also in the past these other people were too. And we were coming from a place of very, very unhealed. We were very ignorant. And so, yeah, it's the mindfulness, the taking the deep breaths, causing me to be calm, causing me to be patient, and calming my nervous system so that I don't get in a big hurry and then just start spewing things. Or mostly what happens is I just walk away and don't say anything. And whether I really even care about it or not, there's this thing in me, I guess, that, the fire, the passion, that feels like it needed to be said. The voice needed to be heard. The perception needed to be heard. Wasn't about them challenging it. Wasn't about maybe they'll contradict it. Maybe they won't like it. Maybe they'll want to hit me in my face. Okay, fine. Hit me in my face. I'll heal. Oh, the sticks and stones. That's funny. See, I had to do this. But I really need to go pee. And I'm going to start writing now. So hopefully this is helpful. I didn't want to waste paper in this book. Let's just push that button again. And that's kind of how I have to start off. I know everyone does that. Drives me crazy. I have to start off when I go back to writing. I have to... Oh, I can't smell right now. This one doesn't really have a big smell, but I love the smell of pages. And typically, yeah, that's what I do. I just scratch them. I've been doing that my whole life. Especially this kind. You can kind of feel it. It's like a texture. It's almost like you can feel something pulling. I don't know why I do it, but I do it. And anyway. And I also I saw a thing on Facebook that said that old books have like something to do with vanilla in them, in the pages, and that's why some people like the smell. And I've heard that before. That's cool. I like that. And maybe it's just not the same as like vanilla perfume or something, because if there's a vanilla body, I can't stand the smell of anything really, especially potently anymore, because I get sinus issues, which is what I'm having right now. But in vanilla, like if it's a perfume or something, I've never been able to stand it. I know I have a sister who she was obsessed with it back in the day. She loved it. She would douse herself in it. I can't stand it. So I was like, I don't really ever smell anything similar to it in books, and I haven't had an old book in my hand in years, but I do love the smell of old books, especially the musty ones that have just been sitting there, like in some abandoned house. Those are great, cool, fun videos to watch on YouTube. If they've been just sitting there, when they've been just sitting there for a long period of time, years even, dusty. Oh, the pages smell so good. I don't know what that is, but that's just, they smell good. But I've never smelled like a vanilla to them. I'm sure it's there. I've just never really smelled it. So hopefully I can piece this together and get it on YouTube. Don't mind my ugly face. My old stretched out, I think it's like a 3X, because I lost essentially 49 pounds now, but it was 30 pounds in 3 months when I did it. And I can't get rid of the shirt. I've only got 2 of them. I'm sorry, I've only got 1 of them. I've only got 1 of these. I have 2 Buffy shirts, but I really only wear or can wear 1 of them because it's a t-shirt. The other one is that weird, I don't know if it's kind of like a nylon, I don't know, but it's like sweaty, almost like jersey material, and it just makes me feel sweaty all the time, and I can't wear that stuff. It's basically got to be 100% cotton. But don't mind my paint, my yellow paint from where we painted the room. Somehow it got on this shirt. I think when I put the cans in the laundry room, I think I got it on it. But it's my Brittany shirt. You can't get rid of Brittany. And yeah, I'm gonna go pee and start writing, and hopefully pull out that laptop down yonder, down there. And that's my little show mix. But pull out my laptop, plug it up, and give it a whirl and see what I can do with editing next time. Try to zoom out. Oh, this is pretty. Can you just record me from up here? Whee! Peace out. Love, peace, and balance for show. Mindfulness. Give yourself grace. The sooner you give yourself grace, you can give other people grace. So much easier and better. And love.